Hello friends, today in this video I am going to discuss the chapter of morphology and I am following the book Study of Language by George Yule. So let's start. What is morphology? In linguistics, morphology is the study of words, how they are formed and their relationship to other words in the same language. It analyzes the structure of words and parts of words such as stems, root words, prefixes, suffixes, affixes, etc. As you know that the cells are the basic building blocks of the body, same do the morphemes. Morphemes are the building blocks of the words. You can define morpheme that the smallest linguistic unit. So these morphemes combine to make a word. Let me give you an example, such as in English we have words like dog, talker, talk, talking, etc. And it consists of smaller elements such as s, er, ed and ing at the end of these words. So these are the morphemes and they have their own function, specific function in the word. And now there are different categories of morphemes. So first category is the free morpheme. Free morphemes are the morphemes that can stand by themselves as a single words and they perform independently. For example, open, door, or you can take any other words. So these are also, they give the meaning of their own independently. While on the other hand, there is another category that is called bound morphemes. So these are the morphemes which are those forms that cannot normally stand alone and are typically attached to another form. They are exemplified as re, ist, ed, s that we attach to other words. So these are categorized under affixes, and affixes includes the prefixes and suffixes. The free morphemes can generally be identified as the set of separate English words such as basic nouns, adjectives, verbs, etc. And when they are used with a bound morphemes attached, the basic word forms are technically known as stems. Let me give you an example. The example is the word undressed. So as we divide this undressed word into its components, we see that there is a prefix un, there is a stem word that is dress, it is a free morpheme, and then lastly ed form which is a suffix which is a bound, and the initial one un prefix, it's also bound morpheme. And there are other words like produce, repeat, receive. So in these words you can see that there is a prefix re and it is a bound morpheme, and there is another part which is save, deuce and pete, and these are called bound stems. Now there is another category of morphemes, that is lexical morphemes and functional morphemes. The lexical morphemes give meaning in grammatical structures. So these are the nouns, adjective, verbs, and the lexical morphemes are open class words, which means that they change their category, modify in their meaning. For example, there is a word play. Play is a verb, and when we add er to the verb, it becomes player. So player is a noun. And another category is the functional morphemes. Functional morphemes are those which perform a grammatical function, and this consists of functional words in a language such as conjunction, prepositions, articles, pronouns, and they are described as a closed class words, so which means that we never add new functional morphemes to the language. For example, article, as you know that in English language there are three articles a and the. So they remain same, they are fixed, you can say. And another category of morphemes is the derivational morphemes and functional morphemes. So the derivational morphemes are the morphemes that we use to make new words or to make word of different grammatical category from the stem. For example, the addition of the derivational morpheme any-double-ness changes the adjective good to the noun goodness. So the derivational morphemes include both the suffixes and prefixes. And the second set of bound morphemes contains what we call the inflectional morphemes. So these are not used to produce new words in a language, but rather to indicate aspect of the grammatical function of a word. And inflectional morphemes are used to show if a word is plural or singular, and if it is past tense or not, or if it is a comparative, possessive, etc. It is decided by the inflectional morphemes. And these morphemes can attach to a noun, verb, or adjective. For example, Jim's two sisters are really different. So in this example, both there are two morphemes apostrophe s and s. So these are attached to the noun, one making the possessive and the other making plural. And the difference between the derivational and inflectional morpheme is that inflectional morphemes never changes the grammatical category of a word. For example, both old and older are adjectives, and the er inflection here from the Old English simply creates a different version of the adjective. However, a derivational morpheme can change the grammatical category of a word. The verb teach become the teacher when we add er. So the suffix er in modern English can be an inflectional morpheme. And now I'll discuss the study question of this chapter so that your concepts get clear. Question number 1 is, what are the functional morphemes in the following sentence? When he arrived in the morning, the old man had an umbrella and a large plastic bag full of books. So in this sentence, the functional morphemes are when, he, in, the, and, of. Question number 2, part A, list the bound morphemes in these words. So the first word is fearlessly. So there are two bound morphemes in fearlessly, that are less and ly. And second word, mislead. So in mislead there are two morphemes, miss and s at the end. And in previver, and there are also two morphemes, pre and er at the end. And in shortened there are one morpheme, ed at the end. And in unhappier there are two morphemes, to which are un and er. Part B, which of these words has a bound stem? Construct, deceive, introduce, and repeat. So in these words, bound stem is found in all of these words. So in the first word, the bound stem is the struck. In the second word, sieve, and third word, deuce, and last word, peat. Part C, which of these words contain an allomorph of the morphemes past tense? Are, have, must, sitting, waits. So none of these words contain the past tense morphemes. Question number 3. What are the inflectional morphemes in these expressions? Part A. Have you eaten yet? So in this, the inflectional morphemes is the en in the word eaten. Part B. Do you know how long I have been waiting? So in this, there are two inflectional morphemes, en in the word been and ing in the word waiting. C. She is younger than me and always dresses in the latest style. So in this there are three inflectional morphemes, uh, er in the younger, es in the dresses, and est in the word latest. And also there is another morpheme here, apostrophe s in the word she is. Part D. We looked through my grandmother old photo albums. So in this there are three morphemes, ed in the word looked, apostrophe s in the grandmother's, and s in the word albums. Question number 4. What are the allomorphs of the morpheme plural in this set of English words? Criteria: dogs, oxen, deer, judges, stimuli. So in criteria there is a, and in dogs the plural morphemes is s. In oxen the plural morpheme is en. In deer there is no morpheme, morpheme, as deer is used both for singular as well as for the plural. And in judges es, and in stimuli us is replaced by I to make plural. So in stimuli I is the allomorph. Question number 5. What is reduplication? Reduplication means repeating all or part of a form, often a syllable, as a way of indicating, for example, that when a noun is plural or a verb is referring to a future action. Question number 7. How many morphemes are there in the word terrorist? So in this word there are three morphemes, which are terror, ist, and s. Question number 8. What kind of morpheme is the suffix in the word slowly? So there are two kinds of morpheme there, bound or derivational. Both are there. As you know that the word slow is a verb. When we add ly, it become an adverb. Question number 9. What are the functional morphemes in the following sentence? When she walked into the room, the door asked. When she walked into the room, the doctor asked me if I had a sore throat or an annoying cough. So the functional morphemes in this sentence are when, she, into, the, me, if, I, a, or, and, n. Question number 10 is the repetition, as we already covered it. And question number 11. Which word in the following sentence would you put in a closed class? Bob brought hot donuts to class. So in this sentence the closed class word is to. To is a preposition. And second part is which words in the following sentence would you put in an open class? I put it on the shelf near you and him. So in this sentence the open class words are put and shelf. Put is a verb and shelf is a noun. Question number 12. How many regular inflectional morphemes are there in English? So the answer is 8. There are 8 regular inflectional morphemes in English language. Question number 13. What are the inflectional morphemes in these expressions? A. Have you eaten yet? So in this sentence en part B, do you know how long I have been waiting? So in this sentence, en and ing are the inflection morphemes. Part C, she is younger than me and always dresses in the latest style. So in this sentence, apostrophe s, er, es, est. Part D, we looked through my grandmother's old photo albums. So in this sentence, ed, apostrophe s and s are the inflection morphemes. And part E, my parents were all from Scotland. So in this sentence, the apostrophe s is the inflection morpheme. Question number 14. In Indonesia, the singular form translating child is anak and the plural form children is anak-anak. What is the technical term used to describe this relationship? So here this is an example of reduplication. Reduplication, repeating all or part of a form is a way of indicating, for example, that a noun